Oyeyo pakadwa mak oyeyo. Oyeyo pakadwa ndi oyeyo. Oyeyo Martin. Oyeyo pakadwa mak oyeyo. Oyeyo Martin. Oyeyo pakadwa ndi oyeyo. Oyeyo Martin. Oyeyo pakadwa rodo oyeyo. Oyeyo. Oyeyo pakadwa mak oyeyo. Oyeyo. Oyeyo pakadwa ndi oyeyo. Oyeyo. Oyeyo pakadwaro koyeyo oyeyo oyeyo pakadwaro oyeyo 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 pakadwa makoyeyo oyeyo oyeyo pakadwa ndi oyeyo 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 pakadwaro koyeyo oyeyo Martin oyeyo pakadwaro oyeyo oyeyo Martin. Thank you, and welcome to another edition of Fishmonger Stories. My name is George, but I go by the name Fishmonger Stories. We are here to celebrate the birthday of the King Junior. A big hand to the birthday boy, please. And that's why we are going to tell a story about a king that he is. Now, in our culture, before we tell a story, we have to invite the stories from the skies. If I say story, story, you say stories come. Story, stories. Story, story. Story, stories. All the stories are not falling down. I don't feel your energy. Story, stories. Story, stories. If I say, can I tell you a story? I want you to say, get on with it. Can I tell you a story? Are you ready for a story? Can I tell you a story? I say, Ina. I say, Ina. Can I tell you a story, my people? Are you ready for a story? Can I tell you a story? Are you ready for a story? Can I tell you a story, my son? Are you ready for a story? Are you ready for a story? Are you ready for a story? Once upon a time, hapo zamani za kale, Chon Gilala, Awo Oluwatuka, there was a king. A very, very strong king. This king was loved by the people of the land. This king was a majestic king. This king sat boldly on the throne. This king, he had a daughter. What do you call the daughter of the king? A princess. Now this king had a daughter that he loved dearly. The king called the daughter the apple of my eye. That means the king loved the daughter dearly. Can I tell you a story? Are you ready for a story? The king loved his daughter so much. But the daughter had one problem. The daughter could not dance. The daughter could not dance. But according to the culture of the land, a princess who could not dance, how is that possible? A very powerful king who has a daughter, a princess, but the daughter cannot dance. Can I tell you a story? Are you ready for a story? I say, Ina! I say, Ina! The princess could not dance. So the king, being the king that he is, he gathered all the musicians of the land. He made a decree and said, all the best musicians from the east, from the west, from the north and the south, I summon you to come to the palace. Bring all your best instruments. And I want you to play your best instrument to make my daughter dance. Please, I beseech you, bring all your instruments. Play your best song. Play your best music. Let my daughter dance. Please, pleaded the king. The daughter that he loved could not dance. Can I tell you a story? Are you ready for a story? The king summoned the best musicians and they all came. The first one to come was a musician from the east. He could play this instrument that was so unique. And the king said, please play for my daughter and make her dance. The daughter did not dance. The daughter was not moved at all. She did not even flinch. She was not moved. Next, the king said, please, could you please play your instrument? Then a musician came who was the best and he played. He went all the way down, play. But the princess was not moved. The princess did not dance. The king called the next musician and said, please, could you please play your instrument and make my daughter dance? And he tried. Oh, sit down. The princess was unmoved. She did not dance. And then the king called the next musician, who had a very, very mighty instrument in her hand. And she was sure she could make the princess dance. She was so confident that she could make the princess. And then the king said, please play for my daughter. And she shook all the way down. She shook. She shook all her body. She shook. Sorry. The princess was not moved. And then the king called the best kayamba player in the whole world. Everybody knew her. She traveled all over the world playing this instrument. And everybody, if anybody could do it, she was the one. And the king said, please, play for my daughter. And she shook all the way down. She shook. The princess did not even flinch. She was unmoved. And then came a flute was heard from a distance. And they said, flute. And she came charming, very charming, very charming. She played. She played. She played. Sorry. Sorry. The princess was unmoved. She did not dance. And then they called the best musician from the north, who had a very unique flute. And they said, come and play. Please, make my daughter dance. And he came shaking. And he was shaking. He went all the way down to the ground until he got on his knees. He got on his knees and he begged. But the princess was unmoved, and he walked away, a very sad man. And then they called the best percussionist. No voice has heard of her. But when she stepped with the magic, she stepped with the charm, and she came, she twirled, she twirled, she twirled, she twirled, around and around and around, and she shook, she shook, she shook, she shook, all her body, she shook it from the right, she shook, she shook, she shook, she shook, she shook and shook and shook until she passed out. But the princess was not moved. She did not dance. The king was getting worried. What should I do? The king summoned the best instrumentalist. She had a big horn. The horn was so big, it could be seen from the rising of the sun until the going down of the same. She came before the king, and the king said, please, play for my daughter. Make her dance, please, please. And she whopped out her instrument. She took a deep breath and filled up her lungs. Her lungs were full, and she was ready. And when she did, she played. She played. She played. She played. She played. But the princess was not moved. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. The princess was not moved. The king was getting anxious. Who is going to make the king's daughter dance? And they brought the best musician from the south and said, please, come to the stage. You are our hope. Please, play for the princess. Make her dance. And she shook it all the way down till she went down on her knees. And she went down on her knees. And she shook it. But the princess was not moved. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. We have tried. Thank you. There was only one last man standing. Yes. And this man Everybody knew him. If anybody could do it, it was him. They said, the great Miramba player, step on and play for the queen's daughter, the king's daughter. And he stepped in confidently. He looked at her in the eye and he whipped it and he started to play. He played it. Oh, I'm sorry. The princess was not moved. The king was getting restless. What shall the king do? And then a voice was heard in the crowd, a voice of a very wise woman. And the wise woman spoke from a distance and said,
how about we play them all together?
Oh, said the wise woman, how about we play them all together? Everybody say, we've never done that. But I am good. Everybody say, I'm good on my own. You're good on your own. You're good on your own. You're the best on your own. How about we play them together? And they said, yes, the wise woman has spoken. And they said, let's play together. Everybody ready? Oyeyo pakadwa makoyeyo, oyeyo. Oyeyo pakadwa makoyeyo. 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 Oyeyo, a big hand to all the musicians. The king was so happy he could not hide his smile. The king was so happy, and then that's when they realized that when we play together, we make a beautiful melody. No matter how good you are, no matter how successful you are, when we play together as a team, we make a beautiful melody. In the words of our forefathers, if you want to run fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go with others. Have you ever heard of that saying? If you want to go fast, go alone. But if you want to go far, go with others. And that is the moral of the story. If you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go with others. And that way, when they played beautifully, they were able to make the princess dance. Did we miss any musician? Which musician did we miss? And then the other musician stood up. He said now he's going to conduct the whole choir and make everybody sing. And he stood up with his flute. Oyeyo pakadwa makoyeyo. 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 Thank you very much. And that is the end of the story. Happy birthday, Junior! Let's all sing for Junior. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear King. Happy birthday to you. Thank you to all my musicians.